I had been thinking about the role of empathy in history, and in a book that I did called Entropy, in 1980, I began to examine the concept, and it started to filter through my other books. But it wasn't until about 8 years ago that I realized that the real challenges facing the human race were not technological and simply economic, and that there was something fundamentally wrong with the way we were thinking about ourselves as a species. If you take a look at the way we think about human nature today, it's a very, very bleak. For 1,500 years, the Church, the Catholic Church, had the last say about human nature. And the Church was very clear. You're born in sin. That's it. And you get salvation in the next world with Christ. If the actual basic core nature of our species is predatory, competitive, self-interested, materialistic, and we seek autonomy in the world, how do 6.8 billion people come together as a human family and understand our relationship to our fellow creatures living on one planet? I began to look at history, and the historians were of no help to me, because with the exception of social historians, historians chronicle pathology. They chronicle the events that get our attention because they're extraordinary and usually pathological. Wars, destruction, victimization, redress of social grievances. I began to think, is there an alternative narrative to history? Have we all misread history? Is there another way to account for it? And that's what led to this book. My sense is that the great changes of history occur when two things happen. First, we humans change the way we organize energy. We have many energy regimes through history. When we create new energy regimes, they make possible more complex living arrangements. But when that happens, it requires a sophisticated new communication revolution to manage these new complex energy regimes. So when energy revolutions come together with communication revolutions, when they merge, they change gestalt, they change consciousness, they change economics, they change history. They allow us to extend our basic primordial drive. What is that drive? It isn't self-interest and competition and utility, it's empathy. We have evolved from mythological consciousness to theological consciousness to ideological consciousness to psychological consciousness. Our children are in interregnum now, they're probably in dramaturgical consciousness. And empathy is extended from blood ties to religious ties to national identity. Is it possible, at this crisis in history, we might take another leap, this time to extending consciousness to biosphere, and thinking of the new boundary as the biosphere of this planet, and then extend empathy to the entire human race as our extended family, living in one community, the biosphere. If we can imagine that, I think we might be able to save ourselves as a species. And now on top of it, we have two great crises. The end of the oil era, the Industrial Revolution, and now the entropy bill for that era, climate change, which is now facing us with a traumatic change in the temperature of the climate and the potential of mass die-off, according to our scientists, and maybe even our extinction die-off within this century. So what we need to do is reimagine what human nature is. We have to imagine a new convergence of communication energy, a new third industrial revolution that could get us to biosphere consciousness. And we've got to see ourselves as homo empathicus, because that is our true nature. And then develop parenting and schooling and business and governing models that reflect our true nature and not our contrary nature.